Greetings. Tonight, I wanted to come to you live and just do something moderately positive in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination at Utah Valley University today. It was, as everybody is talking about online, one of the most horrible, probably the most horrible thing I've ever seen. And I say that a mere couple, 3 days after seeing the previous title holder for worst thing I'd ever seen, the violent, senseless killing of Irina Kurutska on that Charlotte light rail train. This just broke us up all day. I never met Charlie. I wasn't friends with Charlie, but I have a lot of friends who are friends with Charlie. And he, by all measures, seemed like one of those sincere people in media who'd risen really far. He got into it when he was like 17, and he's been at it for the last 14 years. He died suddenly today, being shot in the neck in the middle of a talk, fielding questions. He just had a question from a transgender. I'm not sure if the timing is meaningful there or not. He was shot first by a guy that looked like Larry David, a white boomer, was the one that claimed to be the shooter. He was let go. He wasn't it. That guy was standing close to Charlie. At first, when you figured it was an up-close shooting, maybe you hope this is a pistol rather than a rifle and he can survive it, even though don't go watch the video. It was truly terrible. It was a rifle shot, and he had virtually no chance of surviving it. Then there was a second caught and released suspect, released within the last hour, according to Kash Patel. So the gunman is still on the loose. I want to say, I guess he was shot from 200 yards away. And it's just the most terrible thing I've ever seen. Allegedly, Charlie's wife, Catholic wife, daily mass going Catholic wife, Erica, and their two daughters were there.
I think it's a daughter and a son.
A daughter and a son, sorry. This makes it all the worse. She was a daily mass goer. Charlie seemed to have been moving toward, he was always a follower of Christ and gave powerful Protestant-style testimonies of Christ on TPUSA events, but it seemed like he was coming toward the Catholic faith. I want to play a couple clips where he had said some really powerful, at least cultural witness/testimony in favor of, apostolic Christianity, sacramental Christianity. He said some of that to Tucker Carlson. I also want to play another thing where he was speaking really glowingly about the model that the Blessed Virgin Mary informs for young women. I'll play those two things just so you know, Charlie was on his way. Seemed to be just a virtuous young man in the prime of life, cut down. That's the hardest thing to see, what I saw today. I can't believe how much blood issued from his neck. And I was just praying, hoping beyond hope. I had to take my daughter to piano lesson. Her piano teacher is an Alex Jones viewer, and I was talking to him on the way in. I hope he can pull through, man. And Tim Pool, people were giving Tim Pool a little bit of a hard time, but he was like clearly just hoping. We were all just hoping he would pull through. It would have been legendary with that kind of gunshot wound. But alas, it was not to be. Charlie died a sort of a martyr for the faith, and he was doing very, very civil dialogue with bio-Leninist freaks and murderers that hate him and hate America and hate all of us and hate Christianity. This is a light versus darkness issue, and it's becoming clearer and clearer that the spiritual combat is what's at work, playing out through the cultural and political processes and institutions in the country. And Charlie was, again, you don't have to say this kind of stuff. It's kind of retarded. Obviously, I didn't agree with all his views. That has nothing to do with the fact
I don't know why everybody feels the need to say that.
It's dumb they say
it's like, yeah, I don't agree with anyone 100%.
Right.
That's actually giving too much to the point of why this man was killed. That we can't disagree. Like, obviously we can disagree civilly without any of this stuff coming to blows like this.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, this was Utah. This was not like downtown Detroit. Does everybody get it yet?
Yeah, you're not safe. Your kids aren't safe at school, Catholic or public. That news is like 12 days old. Your daughters aren't safe taking public transit. And even when you're in the safest university town, probably in America, you're not safe. This is why there needs to be a more robust, vibrant home economy. Keep your kids home. Not everyone needs to go to college. Certainly not everyone needs to go to school or secondary school. Keep your kids home. Keep your daughters and your sons close and hug them. I mean, I don't want to make this a whole
Glenn
political
Beck's
thing.
daughter was in the tent with him, and it's just horrible. I will say on Twitter, there's reports. Now, there were reports throughout the day. At first, there was a white bloomer male was arrested. Everybody thought he was the shooter. That man has since been released. Kash Patel, about an hour ago, said another suspect was arrested. And just minutes ago, he retweeted his thing and said that now that suspect has been released. So I think the most up-to-date information we have is the person who murdered this man is still running around somewhere in Utah.
Yeah. Absolutely
incredibly horrific. And Tim and I we've just been upset about this all day. And we were just talking on the couch. We're like, when something like this happens, like, do you go live? Like, what do you do? And for me, like, I was just looking all day just for people that I trust, other Catholic voices, people that I know, like I've watched their content. It's like, you just don't want to be alone. Like, I've been looking for content all day today, just from trusted sources or people that we've watched, like Michael Knowles, or people's content that we watch. I was watching Elijah Schaefer earlier. We were watching Tim Pool some. And it's just times like this, you just don't want to be alone. It feels, and it's an absolute attack on anyone. And again, Charlie Kirk was a nice guy, right? Nice he was the nice one of all of us. And he got taken. They couldn't even handle him. A gentleman, a nice guy, and they took him out. Absolutely unreal. We have a friend of Charlie Kirk's here with us now. Joe just entered in. Let me get him up on the screen. I'll get this off.
Joe Enders, friend of the show. New Charlie. I mean, this stuff lands personally, even though it's public news a lot of times. I never met Charlie. A lot of my friends were friends with him. Joe Enders is coming in, and hey, Joe, what's up, brother?
How's it going?
R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. I was wondering if you just wanted to share some nice things to say about Charlie, give it a personal tone, because we just wanted to. I've just been watching Charlie Kirk videos testify to the truth of Jesus and even Mary the last several hours. How are you doing?
Doing okay, but it looks like my camera's been kind of giving me trouble, and I'm not sure why. So let me just jimmy this really quickly, just see if it'll work a little bit better. I think I need to buy a new cord for it is all.
While you're doing that, just to give people a little bit more news on the situation, there was some, obviously we're in a day and age now where everything is filmed and all that, but we're not going to show anything graphic, obviously, but they did catch, a lot of people just incidentally caught what looks like there was a person running on the roof of the school. There were reports that somebody had noticed either directly after the shooting or before the shooting that somebody was in a prone position on a roof nearby. So it is shocking to me that they're taking this long to locate this murderer, given the prolific amount of video coverage and that sort of thing that we do have access to. So it just, I think all of us at this point, we just want this guy in chains. We want his name. We want to know what he looks like, and we want him in chains.
Yeah, I mean, it's I had the misfortune of coming across the actual video of the up close video of,
Me too.
Of my friend, and it was the most horrible. And I can just tell you just by my immediate reaction, that it was one of the most horrible things I've ever watched, because I wasn't expecting this, because I wasn't friends with him for many years. We had a ideological parting of ways all the way back in like 2017 or something like that. I left the organization and things like that. And it's been years, but when I saw the video, which horribly traumatizing, I was talking to you about it when you called me earlier. I didn't see the political commentator that I disagreed with. All I saw was my friend, like my old friend. I saw my old friend sitting there, you know, and I saw him get murdered. And it is a whole nother level of pain. It's a whole nother level of just suffering to even comprehend. I mean, I'm glad I wasn't sitting right there, but outside of that, there's really nothing, you know, there's really nothing worse. You know, you could, the only thing worse is his family, who's his wife and his 2 little kids. I don't even know if they'll even be able to remember him. They're so young.
I know. So like you said on the phone, it's like, so now that it's just senseless. What is she supposed to do? Just raise the kids without a dad, a loving dad?
Who's going to fill those shoes? Who's going to fill those shoes? And, you know, I was telling my friend that earlier. Who's going to fill those shoes? This was a man who made a generation conservative.
Right.
He was. He was a normie con, and, you know, I would be rambunctiously against it with him, and, you know, and all those things. But at his heart, he was just a good-natured fellow. I mean, that's the word I've been consistently using, because I think it sums him up the best. He was a good-natured Christian man. That, if you're wondering just how good of a person Charlie Kirk was, you know, I was going to community college, and I started a Turning Point chapter there. And, you know, in the early days of Turning Point, there wasn't many. There was only, like, you know, maybe 20 across the entire country, something, maybe even less than that. And, you know, Charlie really liked me. He really liked that, you know, I was interested, that I was passionate, that I agreed with what I was saying. You know, I was handing out pocket to, this is back when I was like a, you know, libertarian. I think we all went through that phase at one point. I was like a libertarian. I believed in the Constitution. I believed in America. I was starry-eyed about that. And I wanted to go out there and protect the Constitution, you know, protect free speech. And you know, I got on the news because I was handing out pocket constitutions, and they told me that I couldn't do it without a permit. And so I was like, well, I'm going to fight for free speech, and I'm going to fight against this. And Charlie he loved all that stuff, you know, and you know, he wrote a book. He put me in the book, and told the story of the stand that I took at my college in there. And, you know, he saw something in me, and he got me into college at a 4-year university at the King's College in New York City. He personally wrote me a letter of recommendation. He told the administration to give him every scholarship that you had. He got me 80% of my tuition entirely paid for. My student debt is at least $50,000 less because of Charlie Kirk. That's the type of man that he was. He saw potential. He wanted people that did good and believed in good to be rewarded. That's just how he was with me. And, you know, I've had major ideological difference with him, whether it be with Rob Smith being one of his keynote speakers, whether he was, you know, pushing for gay marriage, or whether all the things that were going on, you know, in the probably the mid-range time of Turning Point USA, I disagreed with, but I never said anything about it. I never said anything bad about it. I never said anything bad about Charlie, because how could I? How could I do that to somebody who so kindly and graciously spent his social capital to cultivate me, to give me this good education, a place with great Catholic educators like Dr. Peter Kreeft, you know, people like that. Well, you can't, I could not attack him because of how grateful I feel so glad that I, you know, kept it as vanilla as possible whenever I was critical of Charlie in the past, even though he knew I did. And fast forward to 2018, you know, it was my last year of college. I was coming, I went to CPAC with the college Republicans at my school. I had departed from Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk knew it because I did a political stunt with one of his posters after I had left, and he wasn't happy about it. And in a funny way, though, he didn't care. It was just kind of like, oh, dude, you have Turning Point stuff on there. I didn't tell you could do this. And I was like, yeah, I know, but isn't it awesome? And he's kind of like, yeah. So, and you know, he didn't make a big deal out of it. I didn't make a big deal about it. It was kind of funny. And in 2018, I'm at CPAC and I'm walking down the, if you've ever been to the Gaylord for CPAC, the Gaylord Hotel where they usually hold it,
No,
you know, there's a whole conference area where everybody has their booths and stuff. And, you know, there's Charlie Kirk walking down the hallway to go and do whatever he's going to be doing at CPAC. He's basically, you know, one of the keynotes at this point. And he's walking, he locks eyes with me and he just stops. No, and he knows that we're ideologically in totally different places, that I, you know, kind of oppose the libertarian thing that he's trying to do because I wasn't a libertarian anymore. And he just stops. He's like, he just, in front of everybody in the pavilion, knowing that I'm controversial, knowing that there's all these, that there's all this political baggage that comes with being associated with me, stops and just waves really big and is like, "Hey, Joe," from across there and you know, by name. And it's just like, that's a good man.
He just seemed like he seemed like that guy.
He just seemed like a good guy. And beyond that, I owe my educated mind to Charlie Kirk. Like, he did that for me. He did that for me because he believed in me. He was one of the few people in American politics that believed in me. Yeah.
Did you know that his wife Erica was a daily mass goer?
Yeah, I heard a little bit. There was some rumblings going on about that while I was at Church Militant, and I did have a short conversation with Charlie about doing an interview at Church Militant at the time, and it wound up not panning out, which I'm happy about because I instructed Michael Voris to be critical of Charlie in that interview, and I now feel terrible about doing that, but it had to happen if he was going to have him on. But it was, you know, I can't. The hardest thing, you know, about this is, one, for his family, for his wife, for his children. But the second hardest thing is that I really never got to tell Charlie that even though that we parted ways, I went to the dissident right. He kind of stayed in the middle. He kept trying to be effective as he was doing things the way that he felt was going to work for America, for the betterment of America. You know, I never got to tell him how grateful I was for what he did for me, even despite our disagreements. And now I never will. That there is a rot in my stomach that has not gone away since then. And you know, it's just something I'm going to regret for the rest of my life. I could have just texted him at any time. Yeah. And I didn't. And I didn't do it. I did text him right after I saw the video of the shooting, and he was already dead, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really rough. That's
one of the worst days of my life. It is one of the worst days of my life. You know, he was, and I hope he's immortalized. I hope there's a statue of him in Washington, D.C. I hope that he has a you know, presidential funeral with Donald Trump there speaking at it. I want it in the halls of, like they did with George Floyd. I want that done with Charlie Kirk. I want all the theatrics.
Trump announced that flags are going to be flying at half staff through September the 14th. And the Yankees like elegized him at the beginning of the Yankees game tonight. That one surprised me.
You gotta love New York, man. There's a level that if you cross a certain line in New York City, they don't care and they all come together. And that's probably because of 9/11. Whatever it is, there's a spirit. I just major credit to New York for doing this. You know, they don't agree with him, but they don't care. They don't care. They saw this is beyond. What was that?
I'm sorry. I was just saying, I put it on the screen right now. The Yankee Stadium with Charlie Kirk on the screen.
Yeah, that's New York at its finest. New York at its finest. God bless New York.
I don't know, when he did that debate with my friend Michael Knowles on sort of Catholicism versus Protestantism. That was not that long ago. That was I think in April. He sounded more anti-Catholic. I didn't know at the time that his wife Erica was Catholic, but we have a couple clips I'd like to play where he's sounding like he's on the way to Catholicism, and maybe with a Catholic wife, it seems highly plausible that he might have made it there. This one is with Tucker Carlson, where he's saying he's just talking about this phenomenon of rightward shift in America, and the immigration of young white men to apostolic sacramental churches, meaning Roman Catholicism and Orthodoxy. Can you play that, Steffi?
Yes, let me try to do that now.
It's a nice moment.
Oh, sorry, I don't know why the volume is not going on this for some reason.
Suicidal generation in history. Now, I don't want to paint like a totally negative picture, because there is one really good trend, and it's not because of baby boomers, and it's not because of our leaders. It's that
I guess that.
Well, no, it's young men are going back to church. That is legit. That's happening because honestly, it's the only thing that they can find. It's a life raft in this just tsunami of chaos and disorder. So I get asked all the time, well, why are they going to the Catholic Church? Why are they going to Orthodox Church more than the evangelical church? And I'm evangelical. I'll say, well, first of all, they want something that has lasted. They want something that is ancient and that's beautiful, something that has stood the test of time, something that's not going to change, something that's all of a sudden not going to all of a sudden just flip around and have some sort of, transgender story hour. So that's a really positive trend in the midst of all this. So that's my great hope, is the spiritual hope that the young men that are lost, and if any young man is listening to this right now, like stop watching porn, stop, smoking weed, stop drinking endlessly, find yourself back to church. That will reorient your life.
I agree.
And do what the church tells you to do, right? Find a woman, marry her, provide, have more kids than you can afford. That's my advice for young men.
You a Christian?
That's beautiful. It is. It's just beautiful. I mean, I know one thing I will always say, and anybody who's asked me, I've told him he was a very sincere evangelical. He was a very sincere evangelical. He wasn't, he believed in Jesus. He knew Jesus was his savior. He knew Jesus died for his sins, rose from the dead on the third day. He knew the entirety of the Nicene Creed and believed the entirety of everything in the Nicene Creed, even if he thought it was a little C Catholic and not a big C Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
He did believe that, and he knew scripture so well. And he, when he'd quote scripture, like he wouldn't just quote like Romans. He wouldn't just quote like the Gospel of Luke. He'd be quoting like Sirach or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And he really, really cared about the Bible. He really cared about the Word of God. And one of his recent videos, he was talking about, he was chastising Protestants for not talking enough about Mary, not venerating Mary enough.
Wow.
That was Steph, if you want to look that up, it's all over Twitter right now. That is an incredible clip. I have never seen
one where he's talking about Mary as the exemplar for young women to get rid of toxic feminism. Is that that's the one we have?
That's the one.
We have this one here. Let me put this one on. If this is the one that you're talking about, Joe.
I have that on.
That's the one. That's the one.
Let me play this.
I mean, it sounds like the dude was on his way to cross.
He was well on. Yeah, I agree.
His wife was a daily mass goer at a very faithful parish. I think it's St. Bernadette. So, I mean, we have
in Phoenix. Yeah, St. Bernadette in Phoenix.
Here's this clip.
But let me first say, I think we as Protestant evangelicals under-venerate Mary. She was very important. She was a vessel for our Lord and Savior. I think that we as evangelicals and Protestants, we've overcorrected. We don't talk about Mary enough. We don't venerate her enough. Mary was clearly important to early Christians. There's something there. In fact, I believe one of the ways that we fix toxic feminism in America is Mary is the solution. Have more young ladies be pious, be reverent, to be full of faith, slow to anger, slow to words at times. Mary is a phenomenal example, and I think a counter to so much of the toxicity of feminism in the modern era. But let me
if that's not a soul on their way to the church, I don't even know. And there's photos of Charlie going to mass with his wife. He went to mass and he would respectfully not receive communion. Jesse Romero wrote an entire statement about how he believed that Charlie Kirk was on his way. And I do trust Jesse Romero. He is a very trustworthy fellow.
Me too.
He would not say that if it weren't true. This is a man who has experience with the demonic. He has experiences with several great theologians, Catholic priests. So I would definitely take his word at that. And I really do. Nothing would make me happier than when my time comes than to go up there and see Charlie Kirk and have Charlie Kirk say, "I knew you were grateful."
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Just,
I'm sorry, Joe.
no, it was just that would be, nothing would be more special. Nothing would be more meaningful than that, because I'm going to carry that one for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, it's good you can come on and say it now to people that might not. I have a more dissident right audience.
Yeah.
And it's good for these people to be supporting him. It was good for all manner of center right to fringe right to be supporting him on Twitter. That really made me happy. Just everyone praying, everyone coming to Jesus.
It's been a wild 2 days. I mean, everybody was just like together on this death of this beautiful 23-year-old, on the train. All of us were like linking arms yesterday. Then today this happened, and it's weird. Tim and I were saying, you're like, as horrific as that murder was on the train, like something about this one, about Charlie Kirk, it just felt like I don't even know. I like somebody. I remember somebody sent something on Twitter or something on Tim's phone, and I was like, you see those things, you're like, oh, okay, I'm sure this isn't true, and then you realize, oh my goodness, this is true. And then, like, of course, now all the videos are coming out, and then there's conflicting reports, and then you're just like holding your breath and praying God that this guy just has the emergency personnel nearby that can render him aid that Irina did not have. That's one thing everybody was saying when she got her throat slashed on the train. Everyone's like, if only the people around her cared. All of the urban blacks festooning the sides of the train stood up and helped her immediately. What could have been?
She could have been saved, probably.
Just a simple tourniquet, could have potentially saved her life.
Yeah.
And then this happens
far
today,
less
and
blood
covered. I mean, obviously, like, this is a different situation because this is a high-powered rifle that was involved with Charlie, but it's like, this happens today, and same thing. The first thing, I mean, as a female mind of mine, like, I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm like, oh, there's so many people there. I'm sure he has security staff. I'm sure there's like ambulances nearby because he's a well-known personality. Like, there's hope. I
told you, I was like, if that boomer Larry David guy shot him from close up, it was probably a pistol. If he shot him with a pistol and it wasn't a mag-safe hollow point round, maybe he just gets one of these flesh wounds. But the second I heard it confirmed that it was a rifle round, Joe, you and I were talking about this. That's just so much soft tissue damage,
especially from a distance, because it's when the bullet is fast, it goes right through, and from a further distance. And they're saying it was roughly 200 yards, which is not a hard shot, by the way, for any of the stupid idiot conspiracy theorists that want to say that this was a 200
yards,
dude. I'm popping bullseyes at 200 yards.
Me too.
So no, that wasn't anybody could have done that. Now
morons.
The other thing is the mainstream right wing cope posting after the fact and gaslighting. And this is coming from me. I found that personally offensive because you're giving me like this false hope or whatever. And I actually found some solace because my uncle, who was a detective at a police department, I won't say where, gave me a call, and he's like, oh no, he was dead on site. What they do is they'll declare that somebody is in critical condition. They'll declare that they're stable in order for them to have time to tell the family that he has died first. So they don't find out through the internet or through the news that their loved one had been killed.
Is that what it was?
That's what happened. Right. So when it comes to these types of shootings, I saw that video and I told you this on the phone. No, he's dead. I don't care what anybody says. He's dead.
No, I know.
I told you he lost enough blood in the video that I saw to kill a man.
No, I mean, like in the first 4 seconds.
Yes. Yeah, he was done.
And Brown said something really interesting because, I mean, of course, you see those images and they're just horrific and absolutely grotesque. And then you think about the indignity of dying in public like that. But Alex Jones kind of had an interesting perspective. And he said, this man went out like a king. Yeah. He was sitting there on his throne and he got taken out like a king. And yes, it was a very public execution, but he went out doing he knew the risks. He knew that this was, what he was doing was dangerous, and he was still out there anyway. And he went out as a brave king, sitting there in his throne. Like,
immortalized. He's immortalized
on a shield. You die with your boots on, doing what he knew how to do, what he'd been doing since he was a teen. So God bless him. We were talking about it on the phone when I was taking my kid to piano lesson, and I was just like hopeful. I was getting hopeful. I was like, dude, I know what a kill looks like. That looked like a kill.
That was a kill.
But like Tim Pool was, people are giving shit to Tim Pool because he's like, I just want him to be alive. And I'm like, dude, get off his business. He's just wanting him to live. You know how people out there, I'm not talking about, we're going to talk about the evil banality, the banality of evil in the left. I don't mean that. I mean just the people out there that are like, you know, oh, I'm going to say I'm sorry, but they're kind of like hoping something interesting happened. Like Tim Pool was, you could tell, you could see it in his eyes. He was just sincere. He kept reporting. He's like, I'm hearing he's alive and he's stable, but in critical condition. That's terrible if they're saying that he's stable, but in critical condition. How about just he's in critical condition?
That's all that they should say. And I would have been okay with that too. But saying that he's stable, like like this is a person that I'm like, oh my gosh, is he okay? His wife, his kids I'm freaking out at my house and you happened to call me while that was happening. And I was like, Tim, I can't do, he's dead. He's dead. Because I had to accept reality because my own eyes won't deceive me. You know, I told you, if he lived, it was God that, you know, magically repaired his throat, which got completely obliterated.
It makes me genuinely worry for all of you. I mean, I know like we have a smaller platform, you have a smaller platform, but it's like, I watch what happened to him. Like, again, like I'm not saying this is disparagingly to Charlie Kirk, but it's just the truth. He was the nice guy of the conservative movement. Like, I think about Tim Gordon, I think about Joe Enders, Nick Fuentes, I think about, you know, Elijah Schaffer, Michael Knowles. I think about you guys, and I'm just like, you know, what we thought, just getting up on YouTube and like throwing out some videos or appearing for debates in public and things like that. Like, we're just like, we're you men, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're engaging in the public. You're engaging these ideas. You're fighting for the truth of Christ. And it's like, we're becoming more and more aware that you're using your real name. You're presenting your face into public. And it's like, that is coming with some serious consequences. And I genuinely worry for all of you, for all of our men who are actually brave enough to say what they believe and fight for truth publicly. It's genuinely scary to me. Yeah.
With their own face and their own name.
I think it was really sobering for all of us. And Tim, I imagine you probably feel the same way. Your mortality was realized today. Your mortality was realized today. You can die whenever. Anything can happen. And it's hard to say this, but Charlie embodies this. If you die the way Charlie Kirk died, you died a man. You died honorably. You died a saint's death. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do with your life. You want to die fighting for what is good, for what is true, and what is honorable. Yeah. And, you know, whether he was right or not, that's exactly what he died thinking he was doing.
Yeah, and think about it this way. This is, you know, because he hadn't crossed the Tiber yet. He was still Protestant.
Right.
He's still proclaiming Jesus's name. He was doing
everywhere too. Everywhere.
Like, and this is why when people get, you know, to hyper trad and they go down on, you know, and anonymous, you know, I'm not a Ronnerite, obviously. Anonymous Christian or baptism by desire or baptism by blood or truly ignorant Protestants that sincerely love Christ. It's like, do you want, I hope Charlie Kirk is inside of the pearly gates right now. I hope some, you know, but by some means, God grants him the grace. He certainly seemed to be sincere, and Jesus, Mary, Joseph with him on the way, seemed to be on the way across the Tiber. So I just seemed like a sincere guy. There are so many grifters in right-wing media, and I think it was in the 2020 election that was hijacked, that I was watching Charlie, and I was watching his coverage, and he was so into it. It was just like, this guy just loves this stuff. And he really loves the Trump campaign. And he was You could tell he's not a grifter just by that alone, even before I knew that he was such a sincere Christian and that he knew the Bible so well and that his wife was Catholic. And, I have disagreements with him too. He was a normie con, but what a dude. I mean, what a dude.
This on the screen, by the way, before Charlie Kirk, the political commentator, the guy who stumped for Trump, this is what his actual legacy is. And this is what was most important.
His family.
Yes.
That's hard to watch.
I
can't watch that.
I know, it's horrible. It's Jenny, but I think about that and I'm like, you know what? For whatever brief time, that woman knew she was loved by a good man, and those kids didn't know that too.
Yeah.
Will they remember him? That tortures me. That
tortures me too. That tortures me too. Every time you have a young one, a new one, it always bothers me. I'm like, I want to get them at least to, you want to get them to 20 or to their husband. Cause I have almost exclusively girls, but I want to get them to their husbands at least. Lord, give me minus my youngest one to her husband, but at least like 10, 11. So they know in a kind of intellectual
that you're a part of their existence and their memory and their being. It's just, and those he's got a son and a daughter, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't have the opportunity. I never got to meet his wife. I never got to meet his kids because I had departed from Turning Point, long before he was even dating his wife, but I just want to let, if you ever see this, Erica, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. There's nothing that can be said. There's nothing that can be done. All I can do is let you know that, me and a group of my friends are pooling together $300 to have a Gregorian Mass series said for your husband's soul. And I want you to know that those masses are being said. I want you to know that there are people. Tim, jump in. We're happy to include you on that. And we're going to make sure that he gets all the help that he can from the angels, from the saints, and from Our Lady.
And for her, it's like, if she was present, just awful. But
I've heard conflicting reports that they were, and I pray there is nothing that I want to be not true more than that.
And it's the type of thing where it's like, this is not going to be something she even thinks about for the next years. But I hope eventually she gets to the point where she's like, my husband was brave and heroic, and, at least can have that light on that situation. It was interesting. They tweeted something and they were kind of making an apology. They had said, I saw Charlie Kirk and his wife at Mass, and he had security detail with him. And in my head, I thought, this is what their tweet said. In my head, I thought, who the heck does he think he is? Like, he's Trump or something. Like, why does this guy have security around him all the time, even at Mass? And today she was like, now I know why. I get it. And I'm sorry for ever even thinking that. But it's like, we've known people, as famous as Charlie Kirk, and the security measures that many of the people that you're seeing on screen every now and again on YouTube, the amount that they have to invest in their own safety for their not just for themselves, but for their families, is insane. The sort of measures you have to do just to appear on YouTube to say things that are true without getting killed is insanity.
That's because it's spiritual combat, dark versus light. And you know what? I'll say this one time. Even the normies are coming around. It's spiritual combat. It's light versus
Did you see
dark.
Greg Gutfeld?
Yeah, he's dropped.
Whoa, dude.
Whoa.
Yeah, he woke the F up. Woke,
Right.
On air. And
Right.
and the woman, I forget the woman's name, but the blonde next to him, she was floored. She's like,
Yeah.
You were not supposed to say that.
It's Dana
Like,
Perino.
what do you want him to say? Oh, you have it. Okay. Yeah. You got to watch this. You got to watch it.
I know that it's somewhat object of mockery to say thoughts and prayers, but thoughts and prayers for his family. And they need it from all of us. And Jesse's right. If they could do this, they are capable of anything. I think that was the message. I believe that was the message. It's really hard to radicalize Republicans.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're not the radical type. But if you thought that you were going to shut a movement down, you're going to get a rude awakening. You woke us the fuck up.
And we will.
Dana Perino's like,
See, and this is the problem. We have the women festooning this, the corners going,
Yeah.
let's cut to break.
Yeah.
When a man just says true things.
Yeah, and you know, if he's saying it, that all of the wealthy Fox guys are saying it too.
Right.
You know, and you know what? Maybe he wasn't supposed to say it, but Greg Gutfeld, like me, watched his friend get brutally murdered on camera today.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we can be a little bit angry. And
Yeah.
this is a turning point for the right, pun intended. Today is a turning point for the right. And we need to realize what we're up against, just like he said. I knew that after this Annunciation shooting happened at Mass, that the demons were going to come out. I knew the demons were coming after that happened. I felt it. I've gone on record saying that it appears to me, for all intents and purposes, that man was possessed. And I've said that I've said that, you know, things were going to ramp up. The spiritual attacks are going to ramp up. That was a message from Satan that he's coming.
Did you know there was another school shooting that happened today in Colorado?
No, I didn't know anything about it except Charlie.
People pull your kids out of school, get them home, enliven the home economy.
This is what we're saying yesterday. And people were freaking out when we were like, people kept saying, well, we should be able to, our women should be able to, all these men who are saying should this and should that while they're sending their women out to public. And then this happens again today in freaking Utah. In Utah.
Safest campus imaginable.
Yeah.
Your kids aren't safe at university. Your kids aren't safe at high school. They're sure as hell not safe at middle school or elementary school. Just parents, if you love your kids, there's maybe a love stopgap problem with the baby boomers. And there's some sort of generational cursing that we all kind of detect now. We can see it more in the rearview mirror. But parents who are millennials or young Zoomer parents, if you love your kids, seriously consider just keeping them around the home. I mean,
where they belong anyway.
Where they belong anyway, for schooling them,
so
keeping
obvious.
them around. You don't need to kick them out right when they're 18. I'm not talking about a failure to launch where they're going to be at home at 40, but particularly your daughters. It's not safe out there. This is the run up to civil war, and
all these dupes like, well, the government will protect my women and children for me. I just have to wait around with my hands behind my back, waiting for the government to change things around for me. Meanwhile, my wife needs to go to Target 6 times a day, and go, like, my daughters need to be standing in a public square where there's bullets flying everywhere and there's blacks like all over the trains. Like, what is happening?
Wake up. Everyone wake.
We don't have a country anymore. We don't have a country anymore. And this is the time for great men to rise up. And in this time that great men rise up, we need to realize that we need to take power away from our enemies. We need to stop playing this democratic game. We need to stop playing by the rules that they have set out. And I don't mean any moral laws that are anything like that. I mean the rules that they put around our system to strangle us.
Yeah.
Those rules, it's time to break them. It's time to play hardball. I'm done. I am done. I just watched my friend get murdered. I'm done. I don't want to talk anymore. He died literally trying to talk to these people. And what did he get for it? He got 2 orphans and a widow, or two fatherless children and a widow. That's what he got for trying to talk to these people. They don't want to talk. Do something. Take the power away from them. We're not in a democracy. We're not talking about political issues. This isn't just a difference in ideology. It's a war, and they just declared it today. Get over yourselves. Stop talking and start focusing on the institutions of power and controlling them.
Do we have some of those clips of the left
Amen,
responding to this? Amen, Joe. All I really had to say, I mean, I'm just, Joe's the one that was friends with him. All I really have to say is I want everyone to passively, disquietly note the banality of evil, both from the Zarutska case. I'm talking about the 5 or 6 urban blacks that were just sitting there, that weren't technically felons, that were just sitting there and let her bleed out.
And walked
banality
away.
Of evil, they walked away.
They walked like over this woman's blood.
Right.
They just, and some of the blacks at the end, did you notice this? Were filming her. They showed their phones. They weren't calling 911. They were just standing there filming this woman.
I know.
In her death throes.
The term is the banality of evil.
I'm done with them.
I want you to note in these clips that we see now the banality of evil. And here's the game that the left has been playing for either half a decade or a decade. I was doing a tweet earlier. I couldn't decide what it is, but I think it's especially prominent with the Troon movement. So call it a decade. The banality of evil is most expressed by the bystanding and the center leftists that make videos like this celebrating death, or the, I guess technically we're supposed to say non-felonious urban blacks, though is there such a thing, that were sitting on the train, and they're celebrating the death of a stranger they don't know, an innocent stranger they don't know, whether it's Charlie Kirk or Irina Zarutska. And this is what we were talking about earlier, Joe. It's downstream of what is called bio-Leninism. So you take like retarded or criminally insane or criminally envious low IQ populations like urban blacks. We're talking IQ 70, 80, or borderline retarded. You take actually, insane people from insane asylums like Arkham Prison, and you empty them onto the streets. People like a man who thinks he's a woman. You empty him onto the streets and you say, this Christian who quotes the Bible and says God made them male and female, that's hate speech. That's hateful. That's essentially a murderous act. Go murder them. And they turn the inmates of Arkham Prison upon the citizens of Gotham. That's bio-Leninism. And that's what the Democrats have been doing for the last decade or so. And we're now kind of waking up and finding ourselves bio-Leninized. Listen to some of these clips. There are legion clips like this on Twitter, with just freaks. You look at it, you smell BO in all of these.
Yeah, I look at these women, I'm like, I just smell BO and feet. Like that's what it is. I'm sick of them, all of them. I'm done. Here they are.
Well, I guess Rocco will never be able to float. Oh, well, too bad. Bye, Rocco. I just want to be part of your
They're always so disconnected.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. He did say that gun deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights.
They clapped him. No, they clapped his ass. Hey, bro, and the cherry on top, the icing on the cake was the shooter was not black. They clapped him. Get him out of here, coach. Get that nigga out of here. New op pack. Hold on, I got a Ku Klux
What's
Klan
up with those
member.
bags they wear on their heads?
This Ku Klux
I don't get it.
Nobody's scared of y'all no more.
Yeah, there's some more. I mean, there are endless clips like this on Twitter, and it's not people that necessarily have fired firearm themselves ever. Maybe some of them have by the looks of some of those bag wearers, but a lot of them just seem like girls, angry, freakish, nose ringed variegated hair-colored girls, and that's the banality of evil. That's what violeninism does. They've radicalized anyone essentially that calls themselves a Democrat.
They've done. I mean, they've done, and that's the essence of what they're doing, I guess, is a better way to put it. You look at the Trump assassination. You look at the Annunciation shooting. These all exist as a creation of conditions by malevolent institutions in the country to foster these people to rise up. And that is precisely what gives them the plausible deniability for it to go unpunished. This is why there used to be criminal syndicalism statutes in the States. This is what, if you're familiar with the landmark court case, Brandenburg versus Ohio, that was about a criminal syndicalism statute that existed in the state that specifically was trying to prevent this type of stuff. Now, I've usually been a big supporter of Brandenburg, Ohio, because it was defending free speech. But the way that it's been entirely turned on its head, the way that it's been completely inverted, I'm starting to see kind of the purpose of why these criminal syndicalism statutes exist, why the promotion of violence should be made, violence of this level should be made illegal. Because what you're seeing happen is these gigantic corporations, like BlackRock. You're seeing these giant corporations, all that all work as sort of a cartel together, a cartel over information specifically.
An incitement cartel, and that's
exactly.
Black letter law on incitement law is Brandenburg jurisprudence. So that is the law of the land. Incitement is a real thing, particularly when you're dealing with the criminally stupid or envious, or people that are of a 70, 75, 80 IQ, that are borderline crazy or actually crazy or on meds or just stupid and envious and impoverished beyond civilizability.
It's like all the women in that video just want to be pretty whites.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
They just want to be pretty whites, and they're just throwing a big massive public tantrum because they're not pretty whites.
Because that's what we're seeing. The fat persons of whatever.
On the screen right now, by the way, this is Charlie Kirk at St. Bernadette's Mass with one of his children. So just somebody sent that in.
Yeah, I didn't want to do too much of a smattering with too much political stuff or whatever, but the bio-Leninism is the rising tide and has been the rising tide of the left. I mean, maybe I can do a more specific show on what it is. I mean, everybody, if you want to get a great fictionalized account of it, it's really The Dark Knight Rises. And I'm not someone for comic book movies. I always talk shit on comic book movies, but that's the best artistic expression of bio-Leninism, and it's all the left has been doing. Now they lose on the battle of ideas, they lose in the spiritual realm, they lose in the economic realm, they lose ideologically, they've lost culture, they've built nothing, all they can do is destroy. So that's what they've embraced, is just creating, like Joe said, the conditions for the possibility of sickening society, dragging it down and setting it on fire.
Right, and that's the goal of what the boomer cons call cultural Marxism. Everybody, everybody's like, oh, it's these communists, they're all communists. I was like, this is nothing to do with an economic ideology developed by Karl Marx. There may be some people on the left that wish to build a communist utopia out of the ashes that cultural Marxism and critical theory have created in the country. They may want to build that out of it, but every single competing political ideology is engaging now in that behavior to burn down the country, because ultimately now at this point, everybody thinks that the country needs to change. So everybody's going to engage in their own different brand of critical theory, whether it be, people on the far right, talking like, the unironic, crazy neo-Nazis, Adam Waffen, people and the communists themselves, because they ultimately know that this actually works. This actually does destroy civilizations. It actually does burn it to the ground. But it's not some Democrat Party ploy for communism. It's mostly being exploited by the incredibly wealthy neoliberals that are looking for a global utopia and a serf class to rule over in it.
Yeah. Yep. to be identified on another show on a specific basis. I thought it would be nice to come together. Maybe we should just say a prayer for Charlie and
Yeah.
Did you
And
have
Trump
something?
did release a statement. I don't know. It just came out on Twitter. I don't know if you want me to play that.
Yeah,
You guys
let's
had
yeah,
time?
I'd like
play
to.
that. And then
Okay, let me get that up there for you guys, and then we can.
Like on video?
Yep, exactly
Yeah,
here.
I want to see this.
Okay, so it is 4 minutes long, so bear with us. Okay, here we go.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory. May God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you. To my
That was surreal. It's like I'd forgotten he died for a second, even though we're doing a show on it. Then hearing President Trump saying this stuff.
Yeah. I hope, and I think he, to his credit, like, I've been critical of him in his second term. I think he's going to do something about this. That was somebody very close to him and his sons.
Yeah, he was really close with Don Jr., right?
Yeah, he was good friends with Don Jr.
I mean, Charlie wept when Trump got reelected.
I know.
Clearly, he worked hard on that. I mean, when he got reelected the second time, it's like he wept
It was
openly.
a personal victory. for
Yeah,
him.
he was like a sense of relief for the guy. Like, I mean, if Trump, honestly, if Trump doesn't do something, obviously for Irina, but Charlie Kirk, his guy who put everything on the line for him, then the hell with him too. Honestly, it's like I hope you're right. Like he better step up for Charlie.
I'm very convinced. I'm very convinced that he is going to do something, and it's because Trump is a very personal guy. If you do something that he takes personal offense to, and this is the top of the top thing you could do to personally offend Trump. I'm actually fearful for what's going to happen to the person that did this.
Yeah,
I am, because I know how vicious Trump gets when something is taken from him by force.
And you almost like wish as a gift to all of us that Trump would just be like, all right, you guys are all going to see like the machinations behind the scenes of what we're going to do to this guy. You're going to see the internal memos. You're going to see what we're talking about, like what our plans are. Like that would be great for us.
He might even televise it. You know what I mean? That's like, it's just so beyond the pale. And, Charlie was a literal, and this is one of our points of contention, why we went down different political paths, was because Charlie was truly a believer in America, in what we had. He thought that what we had was still salvageable. He thought that it was still there. He thought that we could resurrect the corpse somehow. And he believed in debate. He believed that we could convince everybody. He believed that we can convince enough people to actually bring about change, to actually start caring about the Constitution again, to actually start caring about the legitimate values that this country was founded under. And, it's the most, I have never felt worse about being right than I have today.
Amen.
I've never felt worse.
Yeah. Well, we can see why. Sometimes you want to be wrong.
I wish I was. Charlie is like, to put it in civil rights movement terms, and I'm talking about history, not about who these actual people were. Charlie Kirk was very much like Martin Luther King to Nick Fuentes' Malcolm X. They're really very similar situations. Charlie was we can work this out peacefully. We can, do this. We can do this in a non, identitarian way. We can do this without, explicitly just identifying as Americans, as citizens of America, coming together, being one people as Americans and things like that. And today just proved that is not possible. It proved that is not possible. We cannot coexist with the left.
Well, pluralism doesn't work.
Right.
Large land masses don't work for republics.
Right.
And what people are learning this more and more and more. I've been saying it for 15 years. The dream is dead. It was never alive. Sea to shining sea doesn't work. You have to have res publicas, small little groups of people that are the same, that care about the same thing, and you can't extend them over some landmass. But that all feels far too ambitious for now. I know you were actually friends with him, and I don't like when someone dies and everyone starts waxing phony. So it's good to get my friend Joe Enders, who actually was friends with him. I just felt nothing but I felt so bad for Irina Kurutska. I weirdly felt worse for Charlie. I don't know why. I both evinced a tremendous amount of pathos.
It's the symbolism.
Yeah. And it was just I think a worse death in a way. I mean, maybe faster, but the symbolism, the fact that his wife might have been there, the fact that it was that public.
And he was actually doing, I'm sorry to say this, but he was actually doing what a man should do. She had no business. That woman had no business being on a night train festooned with blacks in the middle of an inner city. She shouldn't have even been there. Where are the men in her life? They failed her miserably.
Right.
Charlie Kirk is doing something a man should do.
Right. He should have been
God
saved at a Utah university doing what a man should do. He's a skillful engager. of ideas with people publicly. He kind of made TPUSA, and God bless and protect and usher into the pearly gates to whatever extent it's possible. Irina Karutska as well, but and this brought forth even more pathos. It's close to what I do. It's close to home, but I didn't want to get up here and just say a bunch of stuff because I've never met the guy, and so thanks for coming on, Joe, and sharing the personal stories. Those are sincerely, heartwarming stories, and it just seems to be ubiquitous when it comes to Charlie Kirk. Everyone's like, you meet this guy, and he just wanted to help. So
he did, and just one last thing. I appreciate you, inviting me on. I really wanted, some platform to be able to share this grief, and not just this grief, but the grief is visceral, it's political, it's all of those things to me, because I know what he believed in, and that's why it hurts so much. That's why it hurts so much, because I knew what he was striving for. I knew what he wanted, and I wish he could have it.
Yeah. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. He seemed to be a good servant of the Lord, and we all pray for him tonight. Continue praying for him. God bless America. Help us to see this through. We've got about half of the people out there seem to be quite evil. 40%, seem to be taken with this violentinism. Oh, do we have a bunch of
Yeah, we have a bunch of comments.
Super.
Joe, you're welcome to stay, but if you have to take off, we're going to do some comments now, respond to comments, but you're welcome to stay as long as you have time.
Yeah, no, I committed to this. I want to stick around. If there's, anybody that wants to talk, I'm happy to listen.
And again, we weren't calling for super chats on a show like this, but since some people already did send them in, we'll go ahead and just read them now. In all honesty, how with all accurate that shot was, I think the shooter was hired by somebody.
No, dude, come on, man.
Very, very close shot. And
that's an easy shot.
You like when you're hunting and you take a 200-yard shot, you should hit the heart. Yeah. Right. It's a miss if you don't hit center of mass. So that's not true. 600 yards, maybe. Yeah, then we're talking.
Yeah, that's a tough shot.
That's a tough shot, but 200, no, that's not.
You should still be hitting center mass at 300.
True.
You should. That's why most rifle ranges are 300 yards.
Right. 200 is nothing. I just saw this all over Twitter. That's got to be a pro. It's like, bro, stop.
Donald Trump could make that shot.
Right. I mean, prone with your or with your gun. I mean, the guy was shooting from the prone position. You don't know how easy that is from that range. It's hard to mess up.
And he was stationary. That's the other thing too. He's not like moving. Like you guys are talking about in a hunting situation where you're tracking game. Like Charlie Kirk was in the same position for some time, so even that he put that.
And he had the high ground. He was on top of a building. I mean, everything was in his favor.
Right.
There was no way that if he missed that shot, it would have been like a Donald Trump miracle situation where like, how did he miss?
Strongly. I was saying that on Twitter earlier. I'm like, no, we have to stop with the conspiracy stuff.
He's got that. Whoever that super chatter was, go shoot some guns, man. You'll learn everything you need to know. That's all you need to do. Just go to the range, learn how to shoot, learn how to do your thing. You'll realize just how easy it is.
I was amazed when the video had come out. So many men were out actually saying this is the round that was shot and saying what you guys are basically saying right now, like, the accuracy, all that stuff. It's really remarkable. If you just like have some basic training with these weapons, like these sorts of questions become pretty obvious.
Yeah, let's roll through.
Okay, sorry. Bruce Wayne said, Holy Rosary for the repose of soul of Charlie. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Amen indeed. Lefties are anti-pew pew unless it's used to unalive Christians. Sad.
Very sad. Extremely sad.
Haunted News says, I randomly opened up to Ecclesiastes chapter 3 tonight before bed. I had a feeling before reading it that it would be relevant. It was pretty amazing. If you're willing, give the chapter a read. Everybody check that out.
Ecclesiastes 3?
Ecclesiastes 3, chapter 3. Okay. Charlie was the greatest of millennial generation. The movement he made, the difference he made was beyond anyone's capabilities within my generations. I pray for his wife and his children. God bless his brave staff who stayed in harm's way to try to save him. The video of good men jumping to help him was refreshing and inspiring. That was true. Like his staff immediately jumped on him and like dragged him out of that venue in no time flat. That was very, very heartening to see. He was the greatest of the movement, no matter what the debate. He listened and beat them in every way and also spread the word. What else is needed? Charlie was beyond any person before. God bless him. Hello, as a new Catholic, I would like to know what you would genuinely say to these sick people who rejoice at what happened to Charlie Kirk. God bless you both.
Laugh while you can. That's what I would say, because you're about, hopefully you're about to reap what you sown, and it's difficult to radicalize Republicans. My hope and my prayer, sincerely, is that Republicans become as radicalized as is possible. Psychologically, temperamentally. I've only ever wanted a radical right wing, a manly right wing. Yeah. And they might have, they're probably never going to get to where I want it or where Joe wants it, but it's going to be different. It's already been different the last couple of years. The stance on feminism, the stance on race, the stance on Israel, it's shifted. It's a new generation. The boomers aren't going to protect the left via proxy of political moderatism anymore. So laugh while you can.
KEP said, caused by demonization of Christians, need to make defamation lawsuits viable again. Nonstop media, I'm having a hard time with speaking today. Demonization eventually leads them to shooting us. They're just talking about how in the media it's always just like they're Nazis and they're this, of course, and they're that, and then that's we get like the psychopath, like trannies, like confused people, like get all spun off.
That's the bio-Leninism.
Yeah, that's it. It works.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, be careful, Joe.
Yeah.
I worry about all you guys. I do, and it's worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it to keep fighting the good fight. But God bless all you men out there who are doing this stuff. Really, if I were his wife, I'd be so proud of him, and just obviously absolutely heartbroken, but just what a hero. And I thank all of you men who are out there with your real faces and names, taking upon yourself this sort of risk just to say what needs to be said. So Joe Enders, you be very careful out there.
I promise you I will. I will not go down without a fight.
God bless you, brother. Thanks for coming on with us tonight. And everybody say your beads for Charlie Kirk and his widow and 2 children tonight.
Yeah. God bless. Thanks for having me on tonight, by the way. Really appreciate it.
Of course, brother. Peace. Des Volt. God bless America.
God bless.